Hello, welcome to the video. So it's Christmas and everyone has a Christmas project, and for me this year it's going to be restoring this beast. So this Amiga 1200, as you can see, is pretty yellow, and actually it looks better on camera than it does in real life. It looks like it's been tangoed, but if we have a look, it's all grubby, its keys all discoloured. But the worst bit about it, if I can get this in camera to, there we go. Yeah, this is unfortunately me. I hacked this case up many years ago. It could be as much as 15 years ago. It was when the Gotex first come out. There wasn't custom firmware apart from that Cortex one, so you can see how long ago it was. And this is just all wedged in there to, yeah, just to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this apart. We're going to add the motherboard out. We're going to recap it. This keyboard is all Mitsumi keys, so we're going to have these off. I've got a black set of keys to go on it. I've got a new limited edition Asahi case in Storm Grey, which looks really nice. We're going to transplant it into that. But the capper is going to be the Terrible Fire 1230 that's going to go in there. So, yeah. So let's get this apart and see what the damage is. Right, so we've got the board out, we've got it on the bench, we've got revision 3.0 ROMs, they're going to come out. We're going to have to put some updated ones in. The Terrible Fire needs its own ROMs containing the EHIDE driver if we're going to use that to boot from. So I'm going to change these out to 3.1s with that. We can see we've got a revision 2B board. Yeah, there's nothing too funky. It doesn't look too bad, as you can see. Yeah, there's no real bulging caps or anything like that. So it looks quite clean, tidy. Yeah. So what I'm going to do now is I've marked all the caps up. I'm going to start stripping them out. So, Fish City. Here we go. Right, so I've started snipping the caps off. I wasn't going to film all that part because I've done a video on how I do it before. So I'll just come in with the pliers, snip, relief cut, and then take it off. However, as I've started taking the caps off, you can see you've already got leakage there. So the caps are wet. So, yeah, I'm going to get the rest of the caps off now and have a look. But it doesn't look good. It's probably the exact right time to recap it. Okay, so we've managed to get all the caps off. There's been some quite extensive leakage under some of them, but I've got it cleaned up, and so they're all missing now, and we're ready to recap. Apart from the other Amiga boards that I've tried doing with this, or doing this procedure to, this one has been a real pig, and I think the ground planes are almost acting as if they're thicker. It's been really hard to desolder some of the stuff. I'm talking especially the through-hole caps. They've been an absolute pig to get off. But I've got another cap kit from Retrofix. The last one works out well, so that should all be good. So yeah, I'm now going to crack on and try and get the other caps back on. Right, so here we are. Got the Amiga back on the bench. I've recapped it, tested it, all powered up okay. But when I flipped it over, I noticed this, and it looks like its capacitor's blown the entire arsehole out of itself. It's a decoupling cap, so I'm going to change that and whop in another 470 nanofarad. So yeah, let's see what I can find. Okay, so I know this looks a bit of an abortion, but I had a couple of 1206 package 0.1 UF capacitors in my parts bin, so I've stacked two to make 0.2 UF, and what that'll do is, because it's only for decoupling, it should still work the same. It just won't have as much of a reservoir to draw from. Unfortunately, one of the pads has completely lifted off the board, so yeah, it's only really the capacitors holding the pad back down, which is, yeah, not optimal. The board had got quite severely scorched underneath, so a little bit concerned about that. But yeah, Anyway, let's get this powered back up and make sure it works. Okay, so we've got the Amiga back inside, and yeah, I've replaced the ROMs with 3.1 with a patched EHIDE driver ready for the terrible fire. I've had to reflash the Gotek, so it's so old that I think it still had the Cortex firmware in it, so I put flash floppy on there. So yeah, let's fire it up and see what happens. Right, so being 3.1, we can see that it takes a little while. We got a device number there. Yada yada yada. Still grey screen. Okay. I know it's got a fairly long timeout on a 3.1. It's got a really long timeout on a 3.1. Oh, flash flop is doing something. Yeah, that's definitely doing something. There we go. Look at that. So it looks like the repair worked, the recap worked, and the ROM upgrade worked. So let's crack on. Okay, so now we know that the motherboard repair works and the ROMs work and it all starts up. Let's go back to the case. Now you can see here the colour difference. This is the original colour. This is how yellowed it is. As you can see, it's night and day. So we're going to put that to one side and look at the keyboard. Again, just as yellow. Well, let's just say it's orange. I don't know about yellow. Yeah, so this is going to need stripping off and cleaning up underneath. The keys themselves are fine, so I don't think I need to dismantle the entire keyboard. I'm just going to remove the keycaps and before we transplant them. So yeah, let's have a go at that. You should be able to just pull it off, and there's fluff and a key, but look at the state of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a couple of old container takeaway container lids, boxes, and just start whipping these off, keeping the spring in one. Look at the colour difference there. Oh my god. So yeah, it looks pretty grotty. I've got another set of keycaps for this. The keycaps I've got are black. I've got them super cheap because they're a strange keyboard layout. So that's right, I'm going to build an Amiga up without a UK keyboard layout. But to be honest with you, I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem because it's still QWERTY. It's just the other keys are a little bit in a different order. So I'm going to do that, and I'm just going to set the key map in Workbench, so it should all be good. You can only use the replacement keycaps from A1200.net if you've got a Mitsumi type keyboard. That was a bit difficult to get off. I'm going to have a look at that. So yeah, some of these keys are a bit stiff, so we're going to need some persuading. Look at that. Oh. Keyboard stabilizers in there as well, so you've got to be careful of those. I don't want to break anything. Yeah. So all I'm going to do now is strip this keyboard bare and then give it a clean up, because you can see here, let's have a look. That's just grotty as. So yeah, so I'm going to do that now, and I'll be back shortly. Right, so here you can see I've taken all the keys off. It took a little while to do it. I recommend doing it quite slow though, because some of the catches were quite tight. So yeah, here we have quite a lot of shit on the keyboard. I'm going to clean that up with just some tissue and some just some damp tissue, and just clean all that off. this is the keycaps from A1200.net, and yeah, let's have a look here. These only work on the Mitsumi. Don't know why I've got a couple of spare space bars. A new set of springs, nice. Co-Star type stabilizers, nice. Let's have a look here. Look at this. Now, the reason why this was so cheap, and it was dirt cheap, was that it is a Spanish layout. So, as we can see here, the actual keys are the right side, but there's a few I don't know what you call them, dodgy European characters. How about that? Anyway, I thought it looked quite good, and for me the price was just so good that I thought, you know what, yeah, that'll do me. These keys, they look fabulous in black, they really do, and they're going to complement this case well. So as I said, they only work for Mitsumi keycaps, which is what luckily this board has. That's I did have one of these off a minute ago, I just pushed it back on. So yeah, you've got the square type posting. I don't know if this is focusing right there. Square type post. But yeah, so that's what it's for. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to set the key map to Spanish or Italian. I think they're both the same for this. And yeah, it's all going to be pretty good. So all I've got to do now is get it out, get it installed. Looking at that though, that something doesn't look right. Yeah, what's going on here? Right, so you've got QWERTY, yeah, ASD. Right, we'll have to have a look. This doesn't look right. Oh, there you go. F and J are over here. It's all right, no problem. False alarm. So yeah, I'll get this off and get that cleaned up. Get all these keys on, and then we can progress a bit further. Cool. Mini heart attack there. Anyway, see you in a minute. Right, so here we are. The keyboard's been transplanted. All new keycaps. As you can see, it looks phenomenal. So this is ready to go in, as is. I quite like the extra characters. But anyway, let's put this down out of the way. And now we're going to look at the case. And it's kind of hard to see in the light, but it looks like a replacement 1200 case is grey. However, it's not. It's actually blue. And I don't know how well it's going to come out on camera, but in real life it looks nice. Really nice. It's like a not quite black case. It's only when you pick it up and you can see through it that it's actually translucent deep blue. So yeah, the build quality is nice. Yeah, it just looks really good. We've got a nice vented trapdoor cover here, which is going to be super cool for what we're going to do with the terrible fire. We've got nice feet on here. Yeah, it's a really, really high quality case. And it's sturdy too. With nothing in it, sturdy. Now, looking at the back, we can see that we've got some rather large spaces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reuse the shield for the motherboard. And yeah, that will help with some of that. But this definitely looks nice. So let's put that to one side. Here we have our shield. One of the reasons in reusing it is it's really in good condition, as you can see. The film, however, you can see this blemish here, and that's where we had to do the repair to the capacitor. So it got so hot it discoloured the film. Yeah. So all we're going to do is drop this back in, sort that out, and yeah, that'll be ready to go in the case. So you can see I've got the 2 Terrible Fire ROMs in there, and I had to make quite a bit of a bodge modification to this. The Terrible Fire here, this is a 128 meg version. As you can see, it's got a ceramic chip on it. Yeah, so this is what we're after. And when I went to plug it in, I nearly bent the board, because the key is so wide. I don't know if this is focusing right. The key here is so wide that it wouldn't go in here. So, and I don't recommend anyone do this. I had to nibble out the key, and I did that with a pair of side cutters. Now, I know people are saying, Jesus, what are you doing? You know, it could have quite easily have propagated forward and split the board, or, you know, it could have done all sorts of things. The reason why I did it is, one, the side cutters I used were really cheap, and they're the really pointy type that you get with a 3D printer, and I bought a few pairs of them, so I knew that wasn't going to be an issue. And second, that, well, what's the alternative? You're opening a slot that's like 1 mil wide to 2 mil. Unless you're going to get in there with a file, it's going to take ages, and I recommend that's probably the way you want to go. Yeah, I just thought, well, I'll give it a go. So what we're going to do is get this back in here, get it all nailed down, and get it in the case. So yeah, give me a few minutes. I'm just going to put all the posts in the back, and we're going to crack on from there. Okay, here we have the motherboard installed, the Terrible Fire installed. I'm just flashing the image to go on here at the moment. For the Gotek, I stripped it out of its case, and I 3D printed a bracket for an OLED. Now, I realise that you're not really going to see much from the OLED being in the side of the where the floppy disk goes, but I'm not going to use a floppy disk in here. But if I was planning to, they actually give you a colour-coded button for the floppy disk drive, which is superb. I mean, compared to the last case, that ridiculous metal one, check out the Checkmate case video for that. This is just a whole breath of fresh air. Look at this. They've even fitted brass retainers. Now, it's those little touches that are just superb. Here, they've got a cutout for a 2-line LCD if you wanted to use that with your Gotek. But that, well, let's face it, they look bloody horrible. So I'm not going to bother with that. That's why I went for the OLED here. But the case itself looks brilliant. Really does. There's a badge that goes on here, and it's metal, and hopefully it'll focus. It's actually quite thick. It's a solid bit of kit, but I may not fit that one now. I don't know yet. I may get an actual TF1230 badge from the badge man. So yeah, but this case is superb. The power LEDs dropped in with no issue at all. Yeah, I may get different colours for them later on, but who knows. Yeah, but so the plan is now is after it's flashed, I'm going to get it tested to make sure it all runs up okay. I'm going to, there's an enable 030 here. I believe that enables and disables the Terrible Fire. I may run a switch to the back plate, which, by the way, they give you a spare one of those as well. And also, I've got some LED strip that's going to be ice blue. So I'm going to fit that to the bottom of the keyboard, and I may have a switch for that at the back too as well. So yeah, it looks bloody good. So what I'm going to do is, just like I said, once this is burnt, we're going to power it up and make sure it's all good before I nail it all down in a minute. Okay, so let's get this powered up. If we turn that on, we can see we've got a display. Lovely. we can see that this is running. I've just put a piece of paper under here to protect it. Now, ROM 3.1 has got a 30-second timeout, so that's just clocking up now. Everything else is in, so it all looks good. Well, it will do if we get a desktop. 30 seconds is a long time when you're waiting for it. Oh, something's happened. Well, the screen just went black. I'm not sure what happened there. Yeah. Now, I'm using this on a standard power supply. So, I shouldn't really be trying to power a terrible fire as well off of it. But I'm going to make a new power supply in the next video, or in another video. Okay. That's... oh! That took a long while to come up. Well, look at that. No, good. Excellent. I don't know why it took so long to come on. Okay. What have we got in here? I'm trying to hold the camera and manipulate the ball inside the mouse with one hand. Right, so, right, we've got Amiga test kit. Games. We should also have... ah, there we go. We've got demos up here as well. Let's click that. Where's my favourite one? Enigma. There it is. Oh, we've got to do something about this mouse. This is just bollocks. Right, here we go. Nice. Look at that. Right, so we know everything's working. I need to get it all nailed down. Yep. Lovely. And then we'll get the keyboard in, and I've got to do something about this to protect it. So I'll have to put it in a bag or something, because it's going to live under the keyboard. It's going to short out on the RAM chips. I mean the RAM of the terrible fire, obviously. Alright, let's get that done, and back shortly. Right, so here is the finished article. I think you'll agree it looks super, super nice. It's so close to looking like it's black, it's unreal. It looks a bit brighter on camera, I don't know why. But you can see a slight hint through the vents. But like I said, it does look a bit brighter. It's just a really nice case. Not just in looks, but also in the build quality. Yeah, it's really nice. The brass inserts for the bolts, it's really well thought out. The plastic is thick. It doesn't really move a lot. You get spare covers. It's, yeah, really, really nice. And so I've turned this old junker Amiga into a machine that I'm probably going to hold on to. It just looks real good. And yeah, with a 1230 in it, that I was talking to Chris Edwards on one of his live streams, and I said, you know, for gaming, what is the best sort of accelerator, that or a Pi Storm? And he said, well, a 1230 is probably going to give you the best of everything for the least amount of money. So yeah, so the desktop is working. I may tweak it a bit. It was only a quick build from HSTWB or something like that. Anyway, it's got a self-build image that you can make, and I wanted a 32 gig SD card that I can just whop in and try, and that looks good. So yeah, so right now it's Christmas Eve. I'm going to say thanks for watching. Check out my compadres in the description. They got their own channels, and have a good Christmas and New Year. Cheers.